3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody.
Hello, we're back from a month-long hiatus.
Yeah, we were pretty busy. We had some personal stuff that was going on, a whole lot of stuff to take care of. But
Guys, adulting is hard.
yeah, adulting is very, very hard. And unfortunately, we've kind of missed the boat when it came to the Infinity War whole spoiler review. Maybe we can revisit it at a later time, but it's kind of not fresh in our heads. We want to go back to it later. Maybe we could do.
But to make it up, in 2 weeks we're going to be going to Wizard World in Philadelphia. Ooh. So if you guys are in the area,
check it out. It's a good time, and we'll be posting a video of that.
So yeah, that's exciting.
But for right now, we are going to do a little quickie review because we just saw Disney's Aladdin. More specifically, the live action one that nobody wanted and a lot of people don't like.
It's alright.
Well, that's the thing. It's like
terrible.
I went into this with incredibly low. We both went into this with incredibly low expectations.
Yeah.
The thing was, we were actually going to see it, not tonight, but we were going to see it yesterday. But something else came up, and honestly, we were like, do we really want to pass on this opportunity that we have to do this fun thing now, or do we want to see Aladdin? So, like, Aladdin was not on our top priority list.
We kind of just went and...
You know what? It was an okay movie.
Yeah.
It was an okay movie. I enjoyed myself. Like, I didn't...
And this is a little break from superhero stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a palate cleanser. I mean, it's nothing original.
No.
But at the same time, I went into this expecting to hate it. Well, not hate it, but... I didn't...
Okay, we both cringed a little.
Yeah, well, the thing was, before we went to see the movie, we listened to the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because they posted a few of the songs on YouTube, and we listened to those before we went to see the movie, and we were not impressed. They were not impressive. So I'm sorry. The first thing we should probably get out of the way is that the songs, if you're going expecting good songs, you're not going to get them here.
The singers are not very good singers. Will Smith is a good rapper, not a good singer. He just kind of sings.
Yeah.
I will say this. The two best songs, in my opinion, were Prince Ali and A Whole New World. Those were the best songs.
Well, that's because for A Whole New World, they actually had someone who could sing.
Yes, the woman who played Jasmine, Naomi Scott, is actually a good singer and a pretty good actress.
Yeah, she would... Which is strange because I looked into her, what's it called, a filmography?
IMDb. We looked her up on IMDb.
Yeah, and she's
got some history.
She's some history, but nothing that would suggest she could do this. Did she actually sing that? Because in some cases they might have someone else singing with her just doing the mouth movements on screen.
No, I'm pretty sure that was her.
Well, we'll have to double check that. But if it is her, the singing for her part was good. It was very good.
She made the guy who played Aladdin sound better because he was terrible.
All right, well, we'll just end the beginning part of this saying the songs, they're the same as the ones from the original, but the original are...
Friend Like Me was not good.
Blah, it was awful. Friend Like Me...
Well, they try to cover up the bad singing with a lot of effects, which was cool. Made it sound a little better,
yeah. But the fact of the matter is, all the songs in this are the same as the original. The only difference is they're not good.
Well, no, Jasmine has a couple new songs.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So now...
They added new songs for Jasmine.
No, just one. There was
two.
No, it was the same song. It was a reprise. Now, for those of you who don't know, Disney has a new practice in their live-action remakes that they like to do. It's where they toss in a random new song so that they're up for a nomination for Best Original Song in a Motion Picture for the Oscar season. And usually it does not turn out good results, and this is not an exception. Her Jasmine's new song, I don't even remember the name.
Speechless. The song's called Speechless, and it's basically trying to promote women's rights, and, you know, it's supposed to be a girl power song. And
but it's so forgettable.
The lyrics are terrible. She did put up a good performance. I could feel her performance, but Otherwise, it was not a good song.
She cared. I will say that.
This Jasmine, I think, was better than the original Jasmine.
Look, let's get into the characters. We'll you know what? Since we're on that line, we'll start with Jasmine. I think I definitely like the Jasmine in the live action movie better than I like the one in the animated movie.
I agree.
Now, they both. The thing that always bothered me about Jasmine's character, and if you've seen the original movie, which if you haven't by this point, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but I never liked Jasmine in the animated movie because she always was she just struck me as a spoiled brat.
Well, then she's just kind of useless and doesn't really...
Yeah,
she's just kind of there.
Yeah, she just kind of yells at people and then gets surprised when she has to face consequences. Like when she sneaks out of the palace in the original and gives a homeless kid bread. And I know what that's in that context. It's supposed to be like, oh, look at her. She's so kind, feeding the poor. But
she stole it.
Yeah, she took the bread without paying for it and then acts surprised that this person is upset with her that she's stealing it. And
like in that case, she's no better than Aladdin.
yeah, and it's no different in this movie. She does the same exact thing. The only difference is that part is like maybe 2/4 of the way into the movie.
It's pretty quick.
Yeah, like that part where Jasmine takes the bread and like she meets Aladdin. That's at the very beginning of the movie. That's like the big difference here is they skip all the pomp and circumstance, and Jasmine is actually part of the whole chase sequence from, where
she's part of One Jump Ahead.
Yeah,
she's in it.
She doesn't sing. No, she doesn't sing. But
Aladdin did a terrible job with that song.
We'll get to him in a moment. But let's talk more about Jasmine. So yeah, what's her name again?
Naomi Scott.
Naomi Scott.
She's a good singer.
She is a good singer, and she does try to own this role, but none of the performances in here really wowed, and hers is not an exception. She put in a better one than most of the others. But other than that, like she has a new kind of sidekick character, not just the tiger anymore. She has this handmaiden.
Dahlia.
Dahlia, that was the character's name, Dahlia. And if you've probably seen her,
she added more to Jasmine's character. Right?
Yeah, that was nice. Like it kind of gave it gave Jasmine someone to kind of bounce things off of, and it made her more human. And if you've watched SNL recently, you've probably seen the actress playing this character. Now, honestly, there's not really much to say about her, Dahlia. She just was kind of the quirky, blunt friend for Jasmine to have, and she did that part well. She was funny. Honestly, I laughed at Dahlia more than I did kind of Aladdin and the other characters. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Jasmine pretty solid in this movie, and yeah,
better than the original.
Yeah, like what was your problems with, like, what would you say if you had a problem with Jasmine? What would it be?
I don't think it was so much her, so much as like directing choices for her.
Yeah.
Like they had this song, the reprise. Her song was called "Speechless."
As we said, yes.
And in the reprised version, she's singing and she's like taking a moment to herself during this frustrating scene when Jafar takes over as the Sultan. And he says, to the guards, "Oh, take her away."
Yeah, and she's being dragged away.
She's being dragged away, and then stops, and she's it was confusing because she starts singing,
and then all of a sudden
she's looking at people, and people start disappearing.
No, time stops, and like everyone's frozen, and then like the guards that are dragging her away get Thanos out of existence.
Literally,
like they turned to powder.
So we were confused, and then you realize, oh, it's
all in her head.
It's in her head.
And then
then she turns as she's with the guards and stands up to Jafar.
Yeah, like it's like it takes you out of the movie. It just grinds the movie to a halt.
Yeah.
And you're like,
that whole scene felt useless, and it didn't do anything for the story or Jasmine for that matter.
Yeah, and I actually took an opportunity to look around, and I took a look around at the people around us, and they were
also confused.
Yeah, they were kind of looking around at the people sitting next to them, and they were like saying things, like I could see them mouthing to each other, like, what the heck is going on? What's happening here? Because, again, it was really confusing because time stopped and she's just kind of wandering around the people around her that are all frozen in time.
I think it was supposed to be a visual representation of her feelings and her frustrations. It just, I didn't think it
did not land. It did not land. And honestly, it just felt awkward.
I'll give her this. It was a great performance, and I could feel the performance.
Yeah, but like the scene after that, like immediately as the song is over, it just makes the song kind of irrelevant and makes you wonder, why didn't they just transition to her speech after her song? Why didn't they just cut the song to begin with? It really didn't need a reprise.
I think with Jasmine, it's more of a directing issue than an actress issue. Yeah,
but ultimately, let's leave it at that. Like, for what we got some other characters we want to talk about. Ultimately, Jasmine, pretty good. All right,
let's talk about Delilah. So we touched on her briefly. She's a cool character. She's
Delilah?
new. Or I'm sorry, Dahlia, not Delilah. I keep wanting to call her Delilah. Dahlia. She's interesting. She's new. Obviously, she's not in the original. But she's also the love interest of the genie, which is also new.
We'll get to the genie in a moment. But honestly, why they felt the need to tack on a relationship for the genie.
I kind of like that.
I mean, I guess that was... it was a directing choice. Kind of. I guess. It just kind of felt like, oh, this is something. I mean, there's nothing really that this relationship adds to the story. It just kind of...
No, I thought it was interesting. I thought it made the genie more human-like and more, I don't know. I thought it was cool.
Well, the genie's... again,
it's not supposed to
I'm never a big fan of a romantic subplot being added for the sake of a romantic subplot. Like, the genie really didn't need that. Like,
well, no, but you saw like what he was outside of the genie.
Yeah, but let's not try. Like, we'll try not to judge the character solely on her relationship to the genie. Like, the character also needs to be able to stand on its own.
Well, and I like that she, developed more a relationship with Jasmine. We found out more about Jasmine that way.
Yeah, like, their friendship was kind of nice. But again, it was like, it wasn't crazy, like, oh, wow, this relationship is so deep and layered. But, it's a Disney movie. You can't expect too much. But yeah, the character was funny. Like, I've seen her a few times as the actress that is on Saturday Night Live, and she's pretty funny, and she brings that kind of humor to this, and she's funny. Like, it's kind of like a dry, blunt humor to this character, and like there are things that she'll say that are like just really, flat, like just right out there. Like she'll state her issue with something very flat out, and it made me. I won't lie, it made me laugh. She was funny. She was very funny.
I thought she was a cool character.
Yeah, that's really all there is to her. Now let's get to the leading man himself, Aladdin. Now I honestly can't remember the name of this guy. I honestly can't. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't know how you feel about it.
I have mixed feelings about Aladdin.
But I personally never liked Aladdin as a character.
Like the original guy.
Even in the original Aladdin, I never really liked Aladdin all that much.
Our ultimate consensus is that this Aladdin has a better speaking voice. The original Aladdin has a better singing voice.
I cannot... Like, if I went back and watched some clips of the original Aladdin, and Aladdin was never my favorite Disney movie. I never really sought it out. Like, it was more... whenever I watched it, I usually watched it for Robin Williams as the genie. I never watched it for Aladdin because...
Yeah, that's what everybody watches.
But the thing is, like, Aladdin in that movie, his speaking voice was just so obnoxious. It was just like, Jafar, get away from her. Look at that, Abu. I didn't know a camel could have two rear ends. It was just... I couldn't stand to listen to it. It was just so awkward to listen to. And this Aladdin, the original Aladdin, I'm just like, this guy's just kind of a weird dude. But like, in this one, I'm like, yeah, I can see this guy being a thief. This guy had like the thief personality.
I can see this guy being a thief.
No, it's like, again, like the original Aladdin, it was just like, this just seems like a pretty boy playing a thief. And it was the same thing with the voice. Like, I never Like, it just kind of bugged me. But this one, I'm like, yeah, this is a thief. This is a guy who, like, steals for a living.
I wouldn't say a thief, just, like, a trickster.
Yeah, I kind of got a happy-go-lucky trickster thief kind of vibe from that. And it works. The guy, look, the thing is, he played that part well. But there are some problems we have with his performance. First and foremost being...
He's not a good singer.
No.
He doesn't know what to do with himself on camera.
No.
He doesn't know how to move himself. When he has to just stand, he's so awkward.
Yeah, he looks like he just...
When he's moving around, it's fine.
Yeah,
but if
like,
he just has to stand there, it's not good. It's
yeah, like
awkward.
he kind of like just stands and looks like he's...
He looks like he's uncomfortable.
Yeah, he just lacks this sense of what he should be doing. The thing that epitomizes...
Because he was a great dancer. He had a couple dances.
No, yeah.
He was great.
But there was one scene in particular that epitomizes that issue for me. And it's towards the very end. It's the climax of the film. I'm not going to say spoiler alert because everyone's seen Aladdin at this point. If you haven't, it ends the same way as the animated one. And if you haven't seen it yet, you've been living under a rock. The point is that, there's the scene where Jafar has the upper hand and he's like, "Ha, you cannot defeat the greatest, most powerful sorcerer in the world." And he has all of the side characters, Jasmine, the Sultan, and the new character, Dahlia, at his mercy. And it's implied that he's probably going to kill them. And any person like with some acting chops would kind of try to emote that they are scared for those characters, that they don't want them to be hurt. Like the guy playing, again, he kind of just looks at Jasmine suspended in the air, and he doesn't really show concern. It just kind of looks like he's like, oh, wow, this is, like, he's just kind of looking at her like, huh, like, this is happening. But other than that, like...
He didn't really emote that much, period.
No, he really didn't. Like, but it was that issue, is like, when he really didn't have lines, he didn't emote. When
this
he
is
would...
a personal issue for me. His eyes are really far apart. I don't know what that is.
I didn't see that, but... like,
either way.
I'll need to look at a picture of him again. Maybe you're right. I don't know, but I didn't see that the first month when I watched.
I don't know.
But yeah, like this guy, he is funny. He had some pretty funny line delivery.
Yeah.
And
they added a new layer. Like, first of all, they try to build more on their relationship
between Aladdin and the genie.
No. Well, yeah, and Aladdin and Jasmine.
Yeah, like they're very like quick to like, we need to. It felt like they were trying to really capitalize on every minute of runtime they had to establish the relationship between Aladdin, Jasmine, and Aladdin and the genie. Mm-hmm. Like, it felt like they were like, we have to like make it so that there's an emotional connection between these characters. And
they did. They wasted no time.
Yeah. And when he was talking to these characters, like, you felt like there was a connection there. Mm. So he was, again, when the dialogue he delivers, it's like, it's funny, it's charming, and it's again, he does pretty good well. But then when he's not talking,
he's so awkward.
Well, yeah, they kind of added this layer where
he's just an awkward dude.
Yeah, which is weird because
he's not supposed to be.
I think maybe it's because they were trying to go for the thing where that he's out of his element because he's pretending to be a prince, and he's used to being like. He is like out of his element because he's used to being on the streets, stealing food to survive. Now he's in like an environment where it's all like about talking politics and parties and all that stuff. So I think that might have been what they were trying to go for, but like all that confidence that Aladdin had just kind of goes right out the window. And they sort of did that in the original, I bet.
Not really.
Yeah, like but in the original, like Aladdin was like, "Haha, I'm a prince now. Look at me," and he kind of let that.
Get to his... Well, this one did too.
Yeah, I guess too. But yeah, like the only really problem I had, and you had, it seems, is that he's not a good singer. No, he's not a good singer, and he just kind of, again, when he's not the one talking or acting, he just doesn't know what to do with himself on screen. But now let's get to the crux of the movie, because let's face it, no one watches this movie for Aladdin, Jasmine. We watch it for the genie.
Yeah.
Like, even
it's the same for this one.
Yeah, and Well,
Listen, it's really hard to top Robin Williams.
because that was the thing. Is like Will Smith didn't want to do this movie initially because he did not want to be like have to follow up on Robin Williams' performance.
No.
And
only, like, what, 3 years after he died?
yeah, like
Good luck.
that was the thing a lot of people were furious about when this first was announced. When the teaser trailer for the live action Aladdin was dropped, everyone was like, how dare you try to like replace Robin Williams? How dare you try to change that, like try to monopolize.
There was a lot of hate.
There was a lot. So I'm not surprised at all that some of the people involved with this project wanted to jump ship.
Yeah.
So,
But you know what, though? I give Will Smith credit. It wasn't, like, fantastic by any means.
no,
but
Friend Like Me, like, there's no topping the original song because the original is just so full of energy and it's just so funny and
it's good. But, Will Smith took it and kind of made it his own, but also, like, paid respect to the original.
yeah, but at the same time, like, again, like we said, it depends so much on the flashy visuals.
Yeah, because Will Smith is talk singing. He's a rapper. He doesn't sing.
No, he doesn't, and it's funny, but it's awkward too because like there's.
Well, and he also sang Arabian Nights in the beginning, and it's just so cringy. I didn't like it.
It felt awkward. I wouldn't say cringy, but it just felt awkward.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah, like they added this whole new opening for like that where instead of it was the merchant in the original one, it was like, salam for evening, worthy friends. Like that. You remember that guy, the dude.
No,
like,
instead in this version, he's talking to his children
on a boat.
And he's telling the story of Aladdin.
Yeah.
To his kids.
Yeah, and first of all, like you could see
with Dahlia there.
Yeah, like and again, like you and me, like I would again. Some people might say, "Oh, dude, spoilers!" But again, as soon as you see them on the boat, and then you see them like 5 minutes, those characters 5 minutes later, you're like, "Oh, it's those characters."
It's
like
easy to put it
there is
together.
no twist. Like
no,
like again, like there was a little kid like a few rows down and like 2 rows down from him, and like I heard her say like, "Oh, it's the genie. Oh, it's the handmaiden." Like she put it together.
Yeah, it's you can't not. But anyway, so I liked what what Will Smith did with the role. I thought he did a pretty good job.
There were parts where he made me laugh.
Yeah, obviously he can never top Robin Williams, but you know what? All things considered, he did pretty good.
Yeah,
it could have been worse.
The only thing that again, now when we saw Will Smith in the trailers, we knew that he was going to be rapping in this, and I will not lie to you, the rap is incredibly awkward.
All right, it's a brief segment of rapping in Friend Like Me.
I know, but the minute you hear it, you don't want it to be there.
Yeah,
it should not be there.
They were trying to touch.
They were playing to his strength.
Yeah.
But it does not work.
It's Will Smith adding his part to the role, so
like his personal flavor, and that's
because he doesn't want to just mimic Robin Williams.
Look, and like usually my problem with Will Smith nowadays, and it's not really fair to him, but Will Smith is such a huge name that when you hear him or see him, like you're like, that's Will Smith. That's not a character. That's Will Smith.
Yeah.
So again, he did the best.
Actually, you know what? I felt like this was different for him.
How so?
I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. This just felt different.
How, like different how though?
Maybe just because the energy from this role and just
I mean like
the nature of the role. I don't know.
I guess there might have been like there were a few moments where I was like I kind of forget that it was Will Smith, but at the same time then there were like other parts where I was like he would say something like oh yeah or like just some just some catchphrase.
Will Smith-isms.
Yeah, Will Smith. Will Smith-isms.
You know what? I'll give him this though. Prince Ali was really good.
But again, not as good as the original, and it was they mostly depended on the flashy visuals. That's the thing, is like this movie is so full. It is a beautiful movie to look at. The set designs are beautiful.
The effects.
The costumes, everything looks beautiful. And it's
So
very
that's kind of all it is.
yeah, they depend on that to kind of take
Distract you from the singing.
yeah, distract you because the singing is not like the thing that bothered me is like Prince Ali, it's like in the original it's like Prince Ali, fabulous he Ali Ababa, genuflect, show some respect down on one knee. But in this one it's like Prince Ali, blah, 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 blah. Show some like what was it?
Genuflect.
Boy genuflect. Yeah,
Will Smith does this.
that's a
He
Will
added Will
yeah,
Smith
and
as
it just again, it's like things like that where I was like, that didn't need to be there.
You know,
Like,
I kind of liked it.
I didn't. It was awkward
I
and
thought
it was
fine.
forced. I'm sorry that stuff was forced. And I could see why some people would like it. It like on to some people I could see where some people would find it funny. I'm
Now,
not
the
one of those
rapping in
people.
Friend Like Me was bad.
No, it was awful.
The rapping in Friend Like Me was bad. Prince Ali, I think, was good.
Yeah.
A Whole New World was good. You can't disappoint A Whole New World.
No, I will say this: like as I get older, as much as I love Robin Williams, I go back and watch some of the stuff, and it doesn't make me laugh as much. But like, and some of that is like Robin Williams' Genie was like famous for all his fourth wall breaks, and
They did that once in this movie.
yeah, they only had one fourth wall break in this with the Genie, and
Also, they had a weird new rule
No, like a
with
weird-
the whole genie lamp.
yeah, like you have to be holding. The
You have to
lamp.
hold and rub the lamp when you make a wish. In the original, you don't have to do that. You just say, "I wish for XYZ."
Yeah, and so I was really confused because in this, like when they're escaping the Cave of Wonders, in the original, Aladdin's like,
Aladdin just kind of talks the genie into getting them out.
Yeah,
he
he,
doesn't
like-
have to make the wish.
he kind of just plays to the genie's pride, like, oh, all powerful genie, I bet he can't even get us out of this cave. And then the genie's like,
Oh,
what?
snaps his fingers. Just, oh, I'll show you.
But in this one, like Aladdin actually says, I wish that you could get us out of this cave. And I was just really confused. I was thinking, wow.
But then they explain
Like that-
that you have to be rubbing the lamp, and Aladdin technically didn't rub the lamp.
yeah, like the monkey was holding the lamp.
Which to me, that came off like a, oh, you didn't actually touch me, like two kids playing tag, like, oh, you didn't touch me, you touched my jacket.
Like when your kids are playing Red Rovers, like, you didn't touch me, you touched my shirt. Doesn't
Yeah.
count, doesn't count.
It felt like that.
I mean, like, I'll admit, in the moment when I saw that and when they explained it, I was like, huh, I guess that's a clever change.
Either way, at the end of the day, like, it still counted as a wish, though.
Yeah, and so, like, I was like, I'm not gonna lie, for
Didn't
like,
it?
yeah, like, I guess, but like, and the thing was, like, even when they were moving on into Prince Ali in the later scenes,
Wait.
I was
So
still,
that was the first wish. The second wish was the prince. And
no,
then,
that didn't count as the second wish. I mean, the first wish.
Then what did?
The first, because Aladdin wasn't holding the lamp, technically him wishing them out of the cave didn't count for whatever reason.
No, because then he became a prince.
No,
and
the
then-
second wish was, like, if you remember from the original, Jafar tries to kill Aladdin. And so Genie, like, uses some kind of, again, it was like Aladdin has to say, I wish, to get out of a situation and rub the lamp. And so Genie uses some loophole in the rules to get him, just to technically make it that Aladdin's made a wish. So then he gets him out of that. That's using the second wish. So Aladdin at this point only has one. And it goes the same from there. Aladdin goes back on his promise, where he said he with his third wish he would free the genie. So, like, he says, like, Genie, I need you to be around, so I'm not going to set you free. And the genie's, of course, pissed off about that. So he and Aladdin have, like, a falling out. And the movie proceeds much in the same way that does in the original, where, you know, they have a falling out and Jafar steals the lamp. So, yeah, we kind of like the genie. Ultimately, let's say we both like the genie.
Yeah, I like the genie. I liked Will Smith. He did a good job.
Yeah. Okay, so we got two other characters I guess we could talk about. We're just going to fold them kind of into one thing because they're both kind of contingent on the other. It's Jafar and the Sultan.
The Sultan was better.
Yeah, in
this one.
the original, the Sultan was like this childish little dummy who was like, ooh, funny things. I like things. Like, I have no question in my mind why Jafar in the original one was like, this guy has to go.
Yeah. But in this one, the Sultan is much more respectable. You can take him seriously.
And they have like all these things about politics between kingdoms coming into play.
Yeah, they added a new layer.
Yeah, like why they were having like in the original, it was just princes were coming, and it was just like, oh, isn't it funny how Jasmine doesn't want to get married? But in this one, it's more. It actually plays on the more political aspects of marriages at that point, where it was like, oh, we're marrying my daughter off to your son so we can seal a political alliance. And it's not like beating you over the head with it, but it's funny.
It's there.
It's funny. It's very funny. And it's weird because they have like this instead of like the mean prince character from the original, they just have this really.
They have a goofy, silly one.
Like, what country was he supposed to? What nationality was that?
Either way, he was funny.
Like, he saw the tiger, he was like, "Oh, puss puss, I like puss puss." Little kitty cat, I like petting the kitty cat. And then it all of a sudden cuts to the outside of an outside view of the palace, and you just hear him screaming with the tiger, I'm guessing, mauling him.
Biting his hand.
Yeah, and he shows up later perfectly okay, but that part made me laugh hysterically.
That was funny. I liked this Jafar. He was good. He didn't sing. He had no singing parts.
I didn't like him as much as I liked the one in the original. Like,
I like him for different reasons. Like, I like them both for different reasons.
Well, the Jafar in the original one was just delightfully slimy and conniving, and he was funny, too. He was really funny. And there were moments where it was like, he just had really great villainous lines. Like, if you remember from the original one.
Well, and his reprise.
Yeah, like when he's using Prince Ali to mock Aladdin. That's a really awesome scene. But my favorite thing about the original Jafar is he would just say these things that were just so slimy. Like, oh, you bastard. Like, my favorite one was when he hypnotizes the Sultan in the original one to have Jasmine marry him. And Jasmine is like, oh no! And he's like, you're speechless. That is a good quality in a wife. Oh, yeah,
he's creepy.
Yeah, that's a great line.
Creepily coming on to Jasmine.
Yeah, and I mean, he does the same here, but it's more it's less in a like, ooh, I want to have this woman obey me because I find her attractive. It's less like slimy in that sense. It's more just like
this Jafar is like, woman, silence.
Yeah, this Jafar is more interested in the political stuff. Like, he's like, I want to control this kingdom. I want to create an empire from this kingdom. And like he argues with the Sultan, who again is a lot more, well, kingly in this version, you would say, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what was that scene where, like, he and Jafar are talking about sealing political alliances?
Mm-hmm. Well, Jafar wanted to attack Jasmine's mom's homeland. And the Sultan said, no, we can't do that. And they're going back and forth about it.
Yeah, and it's very clear that, like, you can see from the beginning that Jafar is kind of like... I could see Jafar from this movie in, like, Game of Thrones or something.
To me, this Jafar felt like more of a threat.
Yeah, like the original one was funny and like slimy, and it was clear he wanted power. This one was just like he was fully prepared to murder everyone to get what he wanted.
Yeah. And
I liked that. I liked it. And again, this was kind of a...
And this one made it very clear that too much ambition kills.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of the story with the same story with the original Jafar, but yeah, this one was way more interested in like the whole political aspect of ruling instead of just having power and like privilege and all that stuff. But again, the actor did a pretty good job. Like,
yeah, this guy was good.
I mean, he didn't really have all the great lines. He really didn't have any memorable things, I would say, but he served his purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
all in all, it was a decent movie.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Like,
let's talk about the animals real quick. Iago and Abu. Abu is the same.
Alan Tudyk, if you remember, he played Wash on Firefly. He also did the voices of the chicken in Moana. He's been doing a lot of voices.
Like animal voices.
Yeah, and so he played Iago, and Iago I think Iago is the biggest change about this movie. Because in the original, we all remember Gilbert Gottfried as
playing Iago. And he's supposed to be annoying. He's supposed to
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah. That Iago's funny. This one is dangerous and
Like this one, like think of the
this one's evil.
yeah, like think of the crows from Game of Thrones. Like he's more like kind of the bird that whispers in like Jafar's ear, like this is happening right now.
Yeah.
This
No. Think of the bird from Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, like the crow, Maleficent's crow. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. And then, okay, when Jasmine and Aladdin are escaping from Jafar and they take the lamp back.
You see it in the trailer.
Yeah. Well, you don't think it's Iago, though. Iago changes into this humongous black dangerous bird and chases after them.
Yeah, that's another change they made. They changed the entire ending fight scene where it's like like instead of like Jafar being like, a snake am I? Well, let's see how snake-like I can be. And then he turns into a giant king cobra. Like that doesn't happen in this movie. Instead, he turns Iago into this giant, horrible, this horrible bird dragon.
Yeah, it was scary. He destroyed like half the town.
Like he's trampling people. He's like busting down buildings. It was actually pretty intense.
I still can't believe that was Alan Tudyk. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, that I'll admit. But there were things where like the scenes were kind of weaker. Line deliveries were not as good. Like Jafar. Like I did like that they made Jafar very insecure. Like they added a new backstory for him. And I kind of liked it because they didn't go like so deep into it where it was like that's a stupid backstory. Like he was a thief like Aladdin, and I liked that they.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Because then Jafar was able to relate to Aladdin and get him to trust him more.
Yeah, like not trust him, more kind of
just
manipulate him.
Yeah,
and it was really neat because like we said earlier, like Aladdin stole another trinket from Jasmine. Like now I have to see you tomorrow because I have to give this back to you, and so Jafar captures him. And, same old, takes him to the Cave of Wonders and is like, hey, go in this cave, get the lamp for me, and I'll make you rich. And in this, like, he Aladdin's playing with the trinket, and he puts it in his pocket, and then all of a sudden, Jafar, pulls, shows Aladdin his hand, and he's holding the same trinket, and Aladdin goes through his pockets, and is like, I was once a thief like you, desperate, scrounging on the streets. And I'm like, that's actually a pretty cool thing to do with the character. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting new layer for Jafar, and I thought it was interesting, and how they both came from the same place, ended up completely different in different places.
Yeah, I also like the changes they made to the Cave of Wonders. I mean, there's nothing scary. Like if you watched it as a kid, then you remember being scared, being scared beyond reasonable belief of the Cave of Wonders, the Tiger Head Cave, like. When, the giant CG tiger heads, who dares disturb my slumber? This cave was a little less threatening, but it was still terrifying to see people getting crushed by the jaws.
Yeah, because Jafar kept sending in the wrong people.
Yeah, but I really liked the set, the scene design they had for the interior of the cave. Because, if you remember the original... The Cave of Wonders in that one was more it was kind of like a Scrooge McDuck vault kind of situation, all the gold piled high to the ceilings. This one was more
scattered
and creepy. It had more of a mystical feel to it.
And I thought it was the same.
I guess, but I you know what? I really liked how creepy and weird it was because there were scenes where it actually reminded me of Shazam. Where no, you know what I'm talking about. If you've seen Shazam, spoilers. If you've seen Shazam, there's a scene where the wizard who gives the powers of Shazam tempts them with this weird, this ball of evil, made up of all the sins, lust, envy, all that. I know, but the point is,
the caves look the same.
Yeah, the thing is, Aladdin would see a treasure, and it had this weird. You would hear the sound.
It's supposed to be temptation.
Yeah, it's these temptation. He'd be enraptured by it, and he'd almost touch a treasure, and he was like, "Oh God, what was that?" But yeah, it's mostly the same. But ultimately, I think we'll But yeah, like Agrabah, all these places. Now, like if I can talk about another set real quick, like the sets look beautiful. Like they're very vibrant in color. The costumes are cool. Everything's really cool. But ultimately, the movie is still. It's still. Let's face it. What it is. Let's face it for what it is. It's a money grab. Like they're trying to feed off the nostalgia of the original. If we get
and we walked out feeling, dang it. There are children growing up knowing Will Smith only as the genie.
And not,
Robin Williams.
Yeah,
that's sad.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. But I'm sure these kids will see those versions too.
I hope so, if the parents know what's good for them.
Their parents know what's good for them?
Yes, if the parents are raising their children right. Because presumably those parents would have grown up with those movies.
That's probably the version they're going to show the kids first if they grew up with those
I
movies.
hope so.
Yeah, but like ultimately the movie looked good. The actors and actresses did their best. The songs were kind of were crappy.
I give it A for effort.
No, I'd give it a C for effort. I'm sorry.
B minus.
Fine, B minus. But the point is, it's still at the end of the day, it's still Disney making another live action remake, and
the Lion King I expect will be a million times better.
It
better be better.
I hope. But
if they ruin the Lion King, there will be hell to pay, because that is my favorite movie.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna write a strongly worded letter. And call someone's parents.
My name is Spider-Woman, and I was not happy about what you did with the Lion King.
No, listen.
I felt slighted.
We all know, even with the animated versions, the Lion King is 1,000 times better.
Okay,
than
that's a whole different can of worms. We'll open that at a different time. But right now, let's wrap this up. So, let's give this. Look, I'm not. Let's give this a number score. Like
out of 10.
Out of 10. We'll give this an out of 10.
I give it a solid 6.
I will give it a 5.5 out of 10. It had parts that I enjoyed. I laughed. I won't lie. It made me laugh, but it wasn't. I wouldn't seek it out again. I wouldn't I wouldn't say, hey, let's watch the live action version of Aladdin. It's an okay
Even
movie.
with the animated version, you wouldn't.
Nah, but still, like, it's an okay movie at best. It
was entertaining.
I
had fun.
If you're going to the movies this summer,
and you're just kind of bored and you want something to see,
like if you've already seen everything else that's been out, then this is the movie.
Then yeah, sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's all we have to say on it.
Yeah. Either way, in 2 weeks we'll be at the Philadelphia convention. We'll be at Wizard World.
We're gonna try to live stream that, but if that doesn't work, we're just gonna record video of it.
It's just gonna be us hanging around.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Tune in 2 weeks.
Well, we might actually. I don't know. Anyway, point is, we're hopefully going to be uploading content more regularly. We hope that you guys will stick around, and if you're new, we hope you'll subscribe. We really enjoy making this content, and if you liked it or have ideas of your own, we'd love it if you would participate in the conversation. Maybe leave some comments down below. In the meantime, it's around 11 o'clock at night, and we're tired, and we have work in the morning, so we're going to hit the hack. So
The hack?
The sack. The sack. I tripped over my own tongue. Anyway.
Good night, guys.
We love you.
Why'd you make it weird? We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Goodbye.